I just want to thank you, Dr. Eger, Edith, Edie. This is such a special opportunity for me to interview you. You are my life hero. I was introduced to your book by my mother a few years ago, and it's been life-changing for me. I refer to your quotes often, and for me to be able to interview you today is a highlight of my career and a lifelong dream. So I just want to say thank you for your time, and I cannot wait to see what wisdom and insight I'm able to share with our network today. So a huge, huge gratitude goes to you. Thank you. So
thank you.
I would like to ask you, one of your quotes that I often refer to is, "Suffering is universal and victimhood is optional." And I find this quote so profound, and I refer to it often. And I would like to ask you to please expand on that, what you mean by that.
I refuse to be a victim. It's not my identity. I will never forget what happened. I never overcome. I came to terms with it. I think it's very important for me to let you know that there is no victim without a victimizers. And that's why I want to be sure that people know it's not my identity, it's what was done to me. Especially when a woman comes and she was sexually inappropriately touched, and she tells me, "I don't know how to tell you because you were in Auschwitz." And my answer is, I knew the enemy and you didn't. So there is no comparison. We all have suffering, and guess what? Suffering makes us stronger. So you are not a strong woman, you are a woman of strength. And that strength comes from inside out. I had a ballet master who told me that all my ecstasy has to come from inside out. So that's what I learned in Auschwitz, that I decided that the prisoners were the people who imprisoned me. And I felt that I'm going to get out of here tomorrow. So I never give up. I always find a gift in everything.
Well, that's an interesting question that I want to ask you, because you were surrounded by death, not even daily, minutely, by the minute, by the second. You didn't know if your time was up. There was just no knowing or no telling. And how were you able to transcend meaning in that suffering? How were you able to survive and around all that death and tragedy and horror?
I think you are so wonderful asking me about the word you mentioning, transcend. I think that's a very important word, because we had to transcend the me, and commit ourselves to each other and form a family of inmates. If you were just for the you didn't make it. So that is very important, to transcend the me, and commit ourselves to each other. That the only ones that we had there, and you know what? The only ones we have now, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. When I was 4 o'clock in the morning in Auschwitz, I didn't know whether I'm going to end up in a gas chamber. When we took a shower, I didn't know whether gas is going to come out or water. And this is what we're experiencing now. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Sometimes we are told one thing and then we find something very different. So it is a very, very difficult time for all of us. And we can empower each other with our differences. So you can be you and I can be I, but together we're going to be much stronger than you alone or me alone. So we have a wonderful celebration, even though we are not going to be able to spend hours and hours together, but I'm hoping that I can be one day a grandma that you just call me and letting me know that I'm not calling you professionally. I'm calling you because something happened, and I hope even if it's the middle of the night, I will show up for you.
Oh, I wish I was there right now to give you a massive, massive hug. What you mentioned, the gas chambers, Edie. I'm calling you now Grandma Edie. I feel like we've, gotten to that level. You mentioned the gas chambers, and I read in your book, The Choice, how you were separated from your mother, and they made two lines where you and your sister Magda were told to be in one line, and all the people over, or the women over 40 and under 14 had to be in another line. And when you looked, they said, don't worry, your mother's just going to have a shower and you'll see her afterwards. My question to you is, when you had the realization of what a shower meant, and that you realized that your mother was not coming back, how did you feel in that moment? What crossed your mind?
I asked, when will I see my mother? And the couple, we call them, pointed at the fire coming out of the chimney. And she said in a very cold voice, your mother is burning there. You better talk about her in past tense. And my sister hugged me and she said, the spirit never dies. That is so true. The spirit never dies. So I know that your spirit and my spirit met, and we are going to hopefully be friends for life.
Oh, I would love that. I would love that. I would like to ask you a question, and I don't know if it's a difficult one for you, and if someone has asked you this before, but knowing that your mother was going into a gas chamber, knowing what you know now, what would you say to her once she moved into that line? What would be your parting speech to your mother, knowing that you would never see her again?
I actually followed my mother, and the very person who sent her to the gas chamber looked at me and grabbed me when he said, your mother is just going to take a shower, and promptly threw me on the other side, which meant life. I know I was wearing a beautiful blue dress that my father made for me, and it had two little bows. And I think that he was watching my bows and maybe was thinking that maybe I will not go to the gas chamber. I don't know. Your mind works in so many ways. But I did end up dancing for Dr. Mengele because he came to the barracks and he wanted to be entertained. And after I danced for him, I got a little bread. And I know that I could have eaten that bread any minute, but thank God I did not. And I climbed up and I shared it with the girls. We were about 6 or 8 of us, I'm not sure. And I'm glad that I did that, because when I was in the death march going from Mauthausen to Gunskirchen, and I was about to stop, the girls that I shared that bread with carried me so I wouldn't die. All we had was each other there, and all we have is each other now. So it is amazing that we had to have a family of inmates. And I'm glad that I didn't gobble up that bread myself, that I was not just concentrating on the me. And I think we are having now the COVID, and I think there is no going back. I hope people have a new beginning.
So it's interesting that you mention the bread sharing, because in our industry, in real estate, it's fierce. The sales associates are competing with so many other people, and that just shows me about, you know, collaboration. And the people that you shared the bread with were in essence competing with you for time. If you think about it, it was either you were going to live or they were going to live. And the fact that you reached out and shared the meal with them, and then later on in that death march, you were able to get their support, and they basically were the reason that you lived. I mean, what an incredible story of collaboration.
Yes, it is amazing. And, you know, cannibalism broke out in Gunskirchen. And the person who liberated me from the 71st Infantry told me how terrible it was that people were eating a dead horse, and it was just unbelievable. But I know that I asked God to help me, and God told me to not use the word I can't. So I can't is not in my vocabulary, because when I go to school, I put I can't on the board, and then I erase the apostrophe and the T. I can. Why? Because I think I can. So today I ask you, think about your thinking, because what you think, you create. So I never said yes, but I always said yes, and this is temporary. Yes, I don't like it. Yes, it's inconvenient. And it's temporary, and I can survive it. I never gave up hope, and I just live day by day, minute by minute. And here I am, letting you know that numbers don't care. I don't care about the chronological numbers. It's going to happen anyway. So I'm going to be 94 years old, September 29th, and I'm so happy that I had a chance to let you know that today and begin a good, wonderful friendship.
I wish I could be there for your birthday, and I think your legacy will always live on. You touch so many people around the world, and your gift is to the world, really. Our gift is you. And you know, you spoke earlier about dancing for Joseph Mengele. I think he was referred to as the angel of death, or the doctor of death. How were you able to dance under his command and be able to do it? I think it was dancing to the Blue Danube. And I know that you're a ballet dancer, and I know that you can kick your leg up higher than most dancers half your age.
I closed my eyes. I closed my eyes, and I pretended that the music was Tchaikovsky, and I was dancing the Romeo and Juliet at the Budapest Opera House. And so when I went back to Budapest, the first place I went is to the Opera House, and knowing that my ballet master told me when I was a young girl that all my ecstasy comes from inside out, but I didn't understand the word ecstasy. And then it came to me, oh, now I know what ecstasy is, and I have to find it within me. So don't wait until someone will make you happy, because dependency breeds depression. So find the beauty within you, because the only one you have for a lifetime is you. All other relationship ends. So self-love is self-care. It's not narcissistic.
I want to talk to you about the word resilience, especially during this global pandemic. Everyone's talking about resilience. Do you think resilience is something that we can nurture, or is it something we're born with? And how do we enhance our resilience? I look at your experience in the camp. I don't think you can be more resilient than that.
Well, the will to live is tremendous, tremendous in a 16-year-old. But when I asked Viktor Frankl, he said he too closed his eyes and imagined that he's lecturing at the opera, not the opera, but the lecture hall in Vienna about the psychology of the concentration camp. You see, he was a medical doctor, and I was a 16-year-old in love, so we were in different times in our lives there. But then I became a logotherapist, and Viktor Frankl is the one that you find in the voice, because I was told by Philip Zimbardo that the people who survived and famous are all men, and they need a female voice. So the choice is a female voice.
Wow. I know Viktor Frankl well when I was doing psychology too, and I read his book, Man's Search for Meaning, and it really made such an impression on me. You know, you named the title of your book, The Choice. What is the freedom of choice? How can you describe what is freedom of choice, and how can we equip ourselves from going from victimhood to feeling empowered? I mean, Edie, I don't know, do you get depressed? How do you deal with your own feelings? You've been through this Holocaust experience, you're a survivor, and I guess some people who have gone through such a difficult time would think, geez, for me to feel depressed today is ridiculous, but feelings are feelings.
I think I appreciate every moment in life. I don't take anything for granted. If you invite me to dinner, I eat up everything on my plate and also reach over to your leftovers, and if you don't want it, I'll take it home. And I don't waste a piece of bread. I think that it's not what happens, it's what we do with it. And I like the idea, actually, when Jesus said, turn the other cheek. I think what he's really saying, look at the same thing from a different perspective. And that's why I call Auschwitz an opportunity for an opportunity to discover my inner resources, to discover what really ecstasy means, and not to wait to allow it to come from the outside, because dependency breeds depression. So when people say to me, I am depressed, I had a gentleman who told me I'm depressed, and I asked him, what's good about being depressed? And he said, nothing. And then I said, is it possible when you're depressed, you don't have to wash the dishes, you don't have to take out the garbage, you see, you can get by with less? And he was smirking at me. You see, so every behavior satisfies a need. When I'm hungry, I eat, and people come to see me when they're hungry. They're hungry for affection, for attention, for approval. We're not born with hate. We're not born, believe me, to judging other people. We learn it, and we live what we learn.
One thing, well, many things I found so profound in your journey, but you mentioned how when you went back to Auschwitz, how traumatic it was, and you were a speaker at that time, you were invited as a guest, and that part of your healing was to forgive the Nazis, to forgive Hitler. And does one have to also forgive themselves along with their persecutors, along with their abusers, and to find that that place of forgiveness for someone, something, or some people that have taken so much from you is so difficult. Can you elaborate on that?
I think we have a way of looking at forgiveness as me forgiving you for what you did to me, but I think differently. I don't have any godly power, but I know when I carry hate, I'm still a prisoner. So I look forgiveness as a gift that I give myself and refuse to live in hate, because if I am living still with hate, I'm not free, I'm still a prisoner. So I hope that people are going to really look at that. Revenge is one thing, but it's very temporary. And forgiveness gives you the best, the ultimate freedom. And I am very biased on freedom from the concentration camp that is in our own mind that we create, because I had my tremendous unfortunate mind that did not even go to my graduation. I graduated with cum laude, and I didn't forgive myself that I survived. So I think everything begins with us, that we can really give birth now to the you that you gave up. Many of us give up our childhood so we can take care of the father who drinks or a mother who suffers from migraine headache, because taking care of ourselves is selfish. And I'm saying, no, you cannot really give what you don't have. So please love yourself. Look in the mirror every morning and say, yeah, I love you. And that's not selfish. So you're going to do that? You look in the mirror.
I'm going to record your voice and play that for myself every day in the mirror, and then I will feel the love. I will feel the love. I wanted to ask you, Edie.
Do that, okay. do that.
I'm going to do this.
Do that. That's right. I'm good. I'm good. Okay, and you carry me. I'm right on your shoulder, carrying you, because life is just one day, just one day. And I know that I'm going to be very happy at the end of my life, because I didn't ask what the world has given me, but in what way I could contribute, that young children do not, unfortunately, take their lives, and the prisoners who come back and then they take their lives. So I do everything in my power to let you know that my mom told me in the cattle car, we don't know where we're going, we don't know what's going to happen. Just remember, no one can take away from you what you put here in your own mind. And I said, the key is in your pocket. And why don't you now use the COVID as a way to really not ever go back, but to give birth to the you that was meant to be free?
Well, let's talk about COVID and how the world has changed in this pandemic. Your other book is called The Gift. What do you feel you can share with us? What is the gift of this pandemic for the world? What has it given us that perhaps we haven't had before?
It gives us the choice to recognize that when we are children, we sit in the back of the car and we can do all kinds of things because someone else is driving the car. I think we face a choice now, whether I want to be driven or I want to be a driver, that there is no freedom without responsibility. And that's what happens when you're a teenager. You want to have all the freedom. Daddy, give me $100, but don't tell me what to do with your money. And so I think it's important to redecide and regroup just like in football, time out. This is time out, that you're going to sort things out, what goes where, and hopefully you want to be emotionally and financially independent before you get married.
Yes, yes. You know, in our industry, the sales associates face a lot of rejection often. A client might choose a competitor, and I can see you shaking your head because I've heard what you have to say about rejection before, and I would love you to spread that message to my network about rejection, about your view of what rejection is.
So I come to you after all that, and let's pretend that I come to you and tell you, yeah, I really would like to get to know you better. I like us to be friends. So I am using now a 4-letter word, which is the best word in the English language. It's called risk. So I'm risking and asking you, but I'm not getting what I ask for. Rejection is an English word that people make up to express a feeling when you don't get what you want. Give up the drama. No one rejects me but me. You have as much power over me as I give you permission and allow you. So take back your power, please. No such thing as you rejected me. There was a girl who was suicidal because John rejected her. And I said, what happened? Well, John wanted to have sex with me, and I told him that I'm a virgin. And he told me that if no one wanted you, I don't want you either. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, my mother told me in Hungary that I have something very special, but she never told me what do I have and what is special that I have to wait until I get married.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what your mother told you. My daughter came home with a man she was about to marry, and my husband whispered in my ear, is she still a virgin? And I told my husband, yes. They've been living together for 2 years, but I told my husband what he needed to hear. I think
Edith, I hear you. Sorry, please continue.
There is a Latin saying that I studied in school, tempora mutantur et nos mutamur in illis. Times are changing and we are changing with the times. And I think that is really important to revolve and recognizing that when you're revolving, you're just going around and around and around doing the same things. It's better to evolve, that you are I love the metamorphosis. I like the idea of a butterfly. I'm filled with butterflies in my home. I like the idea of going through the metamorphosis and shed the chrysalis. So I hope that you are going to be allowed to give up the need for other people's approval. Not everybody is going to love you, and that's okay. That doesn't mean there is something wrong with you. Just say thank you for your opinion, because people have their own opinion about you, and you say a lot of thank yous. I do that. You don't know anything about psychology. Oh, thank you for your opinion. You never defend yourself of a crime that you didn't commit, because you're going to be defeated.
Right. You know, I look at you and I just see such joy that emanates from the inside out. You know, that expression that you use, You need to, in order to heal, you need to feel. And one would never think, having met you with the light in your eyes and the joy that you exude, that you've been through such atrocity, you know, and you've been able to transcend it. And you teach us that feelings are transient. My question to you is, the trauma that you've been through, I remember reading in your book that you were on a bus in America and something happened and it reminded you of being in Auschwitz, and I think you even fainted. To this day, do you still get nightmares? Do you get flashbacks? And can one ever really get over trauma, or does one have to climb through trauma? I was just wondering if you still get those flashbacks or those nightmares.
Yes, I don't ever get over it. I don't even know that word. I don't get over it. I have triggers. I even have triggers going to Costco, you know, a marketplace. And I know when I wanted to go back to Auschwitz, and I asked my sister to come with me because we experienced the same thing. And she told me I'm an idiot, you know, that I'm a masochist. See, it's not what happens. My sister thought that I just totally lost it. But you know what? That was the best thing I ever done, to go back to that place, to look at that lion in the face, and to reclaim my innocence. We're born with joy. We're born innocent. We're not born to hate. If you read the book Capitalism and the Protestant Ethics by Max Weber, he refers to the Jewish people as a pariah. I think it's very important to read history and even know that in America, on January 6th, someone was wearing a shirt. 6 million was not enough. So it's not forgetting or overcoming, but to come to terms with it and not to deny it. You know, I left part of me in Auschwitz, but not the better part. And I know that people create their own Auschwitz a lot of the times. And I think it's very good to recognize that half of you is your mother and half of you is your father. And you carry that blood, and I carry the blood of my ancestors who were slaves. And he walked many, many, many years of going to the promised land, and they never gave up.
And that is, yes, I mean, was there one moment in Auschwitz that you can remember feeling, I don't know if I can do this, and then you picked yourself back up? I'm sure there were moments, you know, witnessing horrific things where that shred of life to live was being tested, and I'd like to hear about that.
I think it's so important what you're asking, because your inner dialogue can make, or any minute was so important, whether you become your own cheerleader. Yes, I am. Yes, I can. Yes, I will. I had a patient who went to a marathon, and somehow on the way she stopped, and then she ran into my office. I did it, I did it, I did it. Oh, what you said. And I said, what did I say? You said, yes, I am, yes, I can, yes, I will. So make that your mantra. Yes, I am, yes, I can, yes, I will. Rather than I don't want that and I don't like that, you know, to be for something rather than against something. I had a woman who had a big, big cross, and she saw me, and finally, after we spoke very well to each other, and I practiced unconditional positive regard, I learned it from Carl Rogers, and she told me, I'm so happy I finally found a Christian counselor like you. Okay, the woman with the big cross.
Amazing.
After that, she said to me, I don't know if I can forgive my husband for what he did to me. He found somebody else. And then very quietly I said, would you be so kind and repeat what I'm going to say? And she looked at me with a hateful face and she said, what? And I said, please just repeat what I'm going to say. And I said, I forgive myself for putting judgment on my husband. And that beautiful woman with the big, big cross wanted to kill me. How could I even talk like that? So be careful. You know what is my definition of love? The ability to let go. Let go of the need for other people's approval. Let go of thinking that you have to please everyone. And most of all, I ask you to get rid of perfectionism, because when you're a perfectionist, you want to be more than human. In Germany, we talk it Übermensch or Untermensch, but I think it's very important to practice that freedom of choice, that you are only human as such. You will make a mistake. You're not perfectionistic, because when you procrastinate, chances are you need to look at your perfectionism.
I think there's such a war with perfectionism, and you know, I look also at these millennials and the way they're growing up and their obsession with perfection, and it's so dangerous. So I absolutely love what you're saying. You're turning 94. What is on your to-do list? You've done a lot, you've seen a lot, you've witnessed a lot. What more do you want to do? I know you share your wisdom and your insight with so many of us around the world, but what does Edie want to do with the rest of your time that you have here with your children and your thousands of grandchildren? What do you want to do?
I differentiate between being or doing, you know. I hope to be the person who does everything in her power to see to it that your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren will never experience what I did and what I saw in January 6th in America. I hope that will never, ever happen again. And I hope that we can have a new beginning, that we can love each other and create a human family, that we can empower each other with our differences. I too have a dream, just like Martin Luther King, and I was very, 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 very lucky to be able to be in Washington, D.C. in 1963, in Washington, singing "We Shall Overcome" with the mamas and the papas. Maybe you can find it. A lovely, lovely trio, a mamas and the papas. And I was singing and getting even a hug from Martin Luther King. And I'm very, very happy to tell you that as long as I live, I want to get rid of as much as we can to the us and them mentality. We are all God's beautiful, one-of-a-kind children, and there'll never, ever be another you. So many people can do what you can do, but not the way you can do it. You're unique. You're one of a kind. No one can ever, ever, ever replace you. Ever. So I really want to be grateful that somehow, even though we began in a kind of a way that we never, ever gave up. And here we are having that interview. And I'm so happy that it's just the beginning of a lifelong friendship.
I'm so ecstatic to hear that, and I just want to thank you so much for your time today. I know that you're a busy woman. I know that a lot of people want to hear what you have to say, and I feel really privileged and honored to be able to spend this time with my new lifelong friend. I wish I could come fly and see you on your birthday, but because of COVID, perhaps we can do a Zoom call that will go right. And you know, one thing that I resonate, I've taught my son as well, never ever to give up. You'll always find a way, and that really is your message to impart. And what I love about what you did earlier, you corrected me. We're so obsessed with doing rather than being. So thank you, Grandma, for correcting me, because that's really what we need to focus on. And you know, I think one beauty or one gift that has come out of COVID is it's made us come together more. It's made the need for separation less, and we feel like we're fighting this together. And perhaps that is the gift. I would never have been able to reach out to you and have this interview. You know, we're doing things differently. We coming up with unique ways of being, and I'm so grateful that we've had this time together. And I just want to thank you. You are my personal hero, and I'm very moved to have had this time with you. Is there any last message you would like our network to hear?
I just want to be remembered that young people are looking at me today, and I'm hoping to be a good role model to young people to stay in school as I'm doing it with you. So I consider you my hero, that you don't give up and you don't stay in bed, even though you would like to stay in bed and read a romance novel and eat some bonbons, and you structure your time between working, loving, and playing. So I hope I leave you with a good balance in your life. So when you're 93, you're going to feel younger than today.
Thank you so much. And I bow to you in recognition of everything that you've been through and the legacy that you pass on to the rest of us. And I want to thank you for your contribution to the world. You are a gift. You're a gift to us. You're a gift to this world. And I'm honored to say that you are my friend, Edie. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you. God bless you.